Hey yogis, I can't think of a better evening to bring to you a bit of yin-like movements and some meditation called Rain. It's raining where we're at on the East Coast pretty heavily, a little bit of storming, and I think this is a great opportunity to turn inward on this first day of September as well. So take a moment, you can make your way into the space that you'd be practicing. Keep it pretty minimal for tonight. You don't need a ton of things that you may not already have around you. So if you happen to have a blanket nearby, pull that over. If you happen to have maybe even a couch pillow nearby, pull that over. And that's pretty much all you'll need. If you happen to have yoga blocks, it's always nice to have that extra equipment, but it isn't necessary. So take a moment and make your way over to your space. We'll move a bit before we settle into our rain meditation. So the option is to take your mat, perhaps roll it out, and then take a moment, maybe grabbing a blanket, and option to take that blanket underneath your knees. And if you happen to have that pillow off your couch, like I just pulled off, maybe you're bringing it so it's an arm's length reach of where you're at. Put your palms down and then let your big toes touch and your knees come a little bit wider, and sink your hips back towards your heels. Maybe you're taking your pillow or even a block and sliding it underneath where your forehead is resting to bring the floor closer to you. Arms can be outstretched in front of you, maybe even resting on your forearms. But take a few rounds of breath right where you're at. And if you know that this particular posture, or child's posture, is not as comfortable in your body, the option is always to keep your forearms resting on the earth and raise your hips higher toward the sky. And give yourself a few moments to breathe into the space where you're at. Letting each breath settle you further and further into the moment, allowing the earth to support you in this shape. And as you feel ready on your next inhale in, option to thread the right arm through toward the left hand side and maybe rest your cheek on the side of a block or your pillow. Head can be turned toward the left, resting on your right cheek. Left arm can be outstretched in front of you or even just gently resting on the mat. If you're taking the shape higher, same exact options. Maybe you're keeping your hips raised, arm outstretched, or even resting on your forearm. A few rounds of breath here. Next inhale, take a moment to gently reach the right arm back onto the mat, switching sides. Thread the left arm through to the right hand side of your mat, this time turning your head to the right, resting on your left cheek. Taking a few rounds of breath right where you're at. And slowly come to unwind out of that shape. You can press yourself up through a tabletop or come to simply sit back, hips to heels, just for a moment. And take a pause here. You're sitting hips to heels. Just allowing yourself a moment or two to get settled. You can keep your toes tucked, or you can even untuck your toes here, sitting for a moment. Not all of us are finding this particular shape, hips to heels, accessible, in which case The option is to find your way into a comfortable seat of your choosing. You can either sit in a crisscross shape, what we call our easy seat, or Sukhasana. You can also take a moment to take the pillow, slide it underneath you to give you a little bit of extra height. Let your hips raise higher than your knees. Or sitting in a chair, resting in a bed. This is your choice of where you'd like to take this meditation. We'll begin with the meditation, the rain meditation, with the first word, which is R. To allow yourself to start to slowly recognize what's happening. Pausing to notice perhaps what's happening around you. Maybe listening to the sounds coming from outside the space where you're currently in. And then checking in to notice any sounds that are coming from within you. And then while you're investigating what's happening from within, option to keep your eyes open, close, or with a soft gaze. Maybe noticing all the places where you're making contact with the earth beneath you. Notice where your feet are resting, where your seat is resting, where your palms are resting. Noticing the temperature perhaps around you. And then checking in with the temperature that you perhaps feel from within. Does any part of your body feel hot or warm? Does any part of your body feel cool or cold? And investigating for the next few rounds of breath where those places might be. Next letter in our rain meditation is the A, which stands for allow. So as you're taking this scan of your body from your head all the way down to your toes, taking a moment to allow any thoughts, feelings, emotions that arise to come up, to arise, greeting them with kindness. And then letting whatever comes up be. And asking if you can sit and just be with whatever's arising as it comes up in that moment. Just as it is. Your next few breaths in, taking a moment to switch our attention to the I in rain, which is investigate, with a sense of gentle curiosity. And that's bringing a little bit more attention to your internal experience. We call this interoception. Noticing any perhaps sense of how fast your heart's beating, if your stomach's making any noises, if your palms feel warm or tingly, if your toes are cold, if they feel like they're tingly. It's just that investigation with a gentle sense of curiosity. At the same time, noticing any places where you might be tight or clenching. You feel a tightness in your shoulders and you draw your shoulders away from your ears. Do you feel a tightness in your neck? You slowly release the muscles in your neck. The earth still will support you in this shape. If you begin to soften into some of the spaces where you have been clenching, maybe when you didn't even realize it during the course of your day. Taking the next few silent moments to investigate that, wherever that's coming up. And the last letter in our rain meditation is the N, which is this idea to nurture, to love, to invite in some tenderness for yourself. Maybe taking one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Sending a sense of love, understanding, comfort, and peace to what you just explored in this rain meditation. And inviting in a gentle pause. You have the invitation to stay here and linger in this pause for as long as you need. I'll take this time to draw my palms together at Anjali Mudra and to thank you for tuning in. Take a moment to bow your head toward your hands and your heart, for taking this time to yourself, for this rain movement and meditation. I wish you peace, 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 yogis. Thank you. I'll see you next time.